Oh, look at that. We're live. And, of course, my animation doesn't work. Damn it! Hidden in the background. But, okay. 10 seconds in. Hopefully someone starts watching at some point. Right. Where are we? Pick it in. Cool. Well, might as well get started since I've already started talking in the background. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Lightbox, the official podcast of Wanimate, the West Australian Animation Association. Whether you're an aspiring animator, a seasoned professional, or simply a fan of the magical world of animation, you've come to the right place. My name is Tanya Beeson, and I'm currently living in my office, which is being moved around and sorted. So,
I'm David O'Connell. Hello.
I'm Lindsay Flay. I'm working in my study. Clutters everywhere. I've replaced my posters. There used to be lots of Genghis Khan posters there, but now I've only got a single one.
Nice. And we've got a guest today.
Hey.
So, would you like to introduce yourself, Clint?
Hi everyone. It's Clint.
Hey, Clint.
Also go by Minty.
Nice.
And as you can see, I'm a avid Transformers fan.
Cool.
Nice.
Very good.
And since it is
Cool.
Pride Month, my pronouns are they, them, he, them.
Awesome.
You're very quiet.
Actually, yeah, your volume's gone down, Clint. So we can. Yeah, since we're doing that, Tanya, she, her.
Oh, I'm a he, him. I'm a boring cis male.
Yeah. Apologies for this.
God, look at all us white guys on the right. Duh.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's just positioning at this moment in time and doesn't reflect political views.
So the breakup of the screen does divide us into queer versus straight.
Yeah.
Queer on the left, straight on the right.
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
We know which
Any-
best side of the screen, Clint.
Indeed.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. Okay, so hi, and we'll be your guide on this monthly journey into the heart of the animation industry in Western Australia. So, each month, Lightbox will bring you the latest and greatest in animation news, from upcoming films and shows to industry discussions that will inspire, empower the instead of see. This is why I never get a read through. I never get it right.
Slow and
Yes,
steady wins
yes,
the race.
I can't contain myself for an entire episode. To industry discussions that will inspire and empower the talented animators who call Western Australia home. We'll also delve into the creative processes and challenges faced by our local animators, so as they work tirelessly to bring their unique visions to life. So buckle up and get ready to be amazed as we explore the vibrant, ever-evolving world of West Australian animation. This is Lightbox, and this is about to get started. And my phone is going off. Oh, man, I am so unprofessional. Can you tell?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Dave's already.
I was just going by the number of toys in the background.
Oh,
Anyway.
hi, Samantha, in the audience. Can't hear very well. Okay, not sure if you can hear now. Make a note if you can hear us now. Woohoo. Cool.
Nice.
Before we get into any other aspects of what we're doing, let's
Ooh.
We wish to acknowledge and honour the traditional custodians of the land we are streaming from, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We recognise and celebrate their enduring culture, the rich tapestry of Indigenous arts, and the invaluable contributions they make to the vibrancy and cultural diversity to this city and region.
Thank you,
So-
Tanya.
Okay, and before we dive into today's content, would like to issue a quick advisory warning. Look, while our channel is generally suitable for most audiences, there may be occasions when we delve into topics or showcase content that might not be appropriate for younger viewers. We strive to create engaging and enjoyable content for everyone, but please be advised that some material may not be suitable for children. So parental discretion is advised. We encourage you to review the content before sharing it with younger audiences. Our goal is to provide a safe and enjoyable viewing experience for all, and appreciate your understanding and support in this matter. All right.
Cool.
Let's get down.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hold on. Should introduce Clint and talk about where he's from. So, Clint, you are from the local community, as am I, in our various capacities. What can you tell us a little bit about the Queer Perth and the Gamers of Perth groups, if you could?
Yeah, so I've lived in Perth for 10 years now, I suppose. I moved over from New Zealand. Part of that, since I've been here, I kind of branched out to different community groups. Perth Gamers was one of the first ones that I joined, so that's Gamers with a Y. They're an LGBTQIA+ gaming group for online games as well as board games, card games, what have you. Social group. They have regular events and a lot of ad hoc events that's interested in those.
Sorry to interrupt, Clint. We're just getting feedback that your mic's a bit low. Can you just move into it a bit more if possible?
I'm not sure if it's my phone that's the mic or...
I think
That
it might be your
sounds-
phone that's a mic, because as soon as you move closer like that, loom up, we can hear you.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry, I was having technology issues myself, and I thought my desktop computer would be all good to go because it has a microphone. But
Hey.
for whatever reason, it was not happy, so I've had to plug in with my mobile phone. Anyway, yeah, and then I'm also a podcast co-host on Queer Perth, but we have taken a break for the time being. But we do run a Facebook group, so I'm sure we'll put links in the show notes.
Yeah, we can put links out. Absolutely.
I'm also on the City of Perth LGBTQIA+ advisory group. So we meet regularly, a bunch of people across the community here in Perth that work, live, or play in the City of Perth catchment. And we work with City of Perth to develop their LGBTQIA+ plan that they use to then ensure that they're supporting and meeting the needs of the community. Yeah, so
Yes.
do lots of bits and pieces. And then I suppose job-wise, I currently work for CommBank as a digital accessibility manager. So everyone that I deal with is in Sydney, but I work remotely from Perth and work with our digital teams, so website, app, etc., to improve the experience for people with disabilities from a digital perspective.
Oh, apparently the subtitles are picking you up, but the audio is still coming through quietly, according to
Yeah.
our audience. So,
So just moving close, I think you'd be right. You seem to get better results when you're really looming in for the shot.
That's right. We need Chad Clint on this one, I think. Big chin Chad. So, all right. Take it away.
okay. So, in terms of news, okay. So, you want to open with this one, Lynn? David?
Yeah, I'll
Because I don't
start
know
with
anything
it.
about it.
Okay, I'll start with it. Look, in Japan, reports surfaced recently about veteran voice actor, I should say, Toru Furuya. So the actor whose key roles in series like Sailor Moon, I think he was Tuxedo Ken in that, Mobile Suit Gundam, he was Amara Ray, One Piece, and Dragon Balls as well. He's been in. There's a lot of classic anime which he's been the voices of, and he's addressed fans in a letter confessing to an abusive and adulterous relationship with a younger fan. So it's not sounding good at all. considering it's his letter that's actually been the sort of lead on this, and how he describes it, there's no doubt he was abusive to the girl that was seems to be a couple of decades his senior, and hitting her at least on one occasion to his recollection, and possibly pressuring her into an abortion. So
Whoa.
it's really kind of bad news from a veteran voice actor that's like, if there's classic anime that you love, chances are he's been in a major role in that.
Are these events old events or?
Haven't really got too much clarity on that. I heard about it. I think it was last week, and honestly, I'm a bit of a Universal Century fan for Gundam, so I haven't sort of looked into it too much because I don't want that wrecked. That's bad of me, you know. But yeah, that is what it is.
Ooh, David.
Yeah, I know. I'm not good in that regard. So, but yeah, look, I'll do the research and I'll find out more, and I'll get back to you if there's anything more that's going from that, or anyone else voices any opinion or any sort of stories in that regards. As a state, we only have his word at the moment, and his letter from a corporate release, and it's still fairly damning sort of testimony.
Yeah.
So God knows what it is from her point of view. Tanya, have you got the 3:30 closing dates for animations and the screening date?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Oh, neither do I. So we are just terrible live TV at the moment.
I saw them popping up there, and I thought David's got them written down somewhere, doesn't he?
No. That's what I was just asking. I was just going to ask you about that.
No. Normally we.
I'll skip to the next article then, and you can.
I thought it was.
backtrack.
Hang on. Wasn't it the 30th of June?
So 30th of June is the end date. So,
Yeah,
but the screening is going to be in August. We will announce the exact date when that's going to happen. But so it looks to be early August. And it will be at Event Cinemas. And so we're going to have a big night. Hanging out, watching animation, and doing some cool stuff with all the participants. If you have not heard of this before, Clint, the 3:30 animation competition is our yearly animation competition. Animators have to produce 30 seconds of animation in 3 months, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a pretty big slog of work, and potentially the amount of films is the most we've ever had, which is very, very cool. So it's going to be a big evening, going to be fun. We're going to have, there's popcorn. Come along, watch the films when they come up. Of course, there's also prizes as well, and the prize pool is pretty good. The judges are all international animators. They're doing awesomely. So super excited for this year. So unlike the other committee members, I don't get involved in the competition at any level until the night. I always like to be surprised. And let Travis do the day-to-day runnings of the 3:30. But
I'll know who's won it because I'll be building the night's
Lindsay has to watch everything while he's doing all the video production.
So I don't take bribes, by the way, not small ones anyway.
Yeah. So the sheer amount of people who try and get me to bribe. I'm like, I have no control over the 3:30 animation competition. So
hot tip.
Good luck next time.
Transformers.
Transformers 1.
Nothing.
And we can say hello to Samantha in chats as well.
Hi.
Hey, Samantha.
That was a wave.
Hey, hello.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, and just so we've got a piece of news that's good as well to go out with, Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft actually got a release date from Netflix. So
Nice.
with October 10th, and that's Haley Atwell, I believe, supplying the voice talents to this. So
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's talk about what's coming soon and what's out now. So, okay, so I'll just
upcoming. Here we go.
okay. So let's talk about what's out now. So we've got a few things that are kind of either at the cinemas at the moment or are streaming in release at the moment. So we've got Garfield's release in the cinemas. Streaming, we've got Kaiju number 8. I believe My Hero Academia's new season's started. We've got Wolf and Spice. I believe Demon Slayer started, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. And My Adventures with Superman, season 2 is also started.
Awesome.
Is anyone watching? Well, what are people watching at the moment?
I just finished Blue Eye Samurai, and I'm about to get on to Scavenger's Reign.
Oh, nice.
I went to the preview screening for Garfield. A good film to take your kids to. Wasn't really a Garfield film as far as I was
Strangely
concerned.
distanced from itself from the property. That was odd.
Yeah, so
what
they
did they do?
turned it into a heist movie. So my thoughts on a Garfield plot is John gets a new girlfriend who doesn't like cats, or John, or the nearby Italian restaurant closes down, and Garfield has to, try and get. That sounds like a Garfield plot to me. A heist movie where they raid a milk factory
with a slew of new characters. Like, most of the characters are new. Yeah, that was an interesting choice to try and update it, I think. But
and they
sounds like a marketing merchandising activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might be right.
It's done all right though, so what do we know?
Well, maybe they're trying to differentiate it from Simon's Cat or something. Simon's Cat?
Maybe.
It's good kids entertainment. There's no doubt about that. The crowd there really enjoy themselves. So yeah.
I get the impression I've been watching. Was supposed to be a musical.
Go on.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, I've been watching Kaiju number 8, My Hero Academia, Wolf and Spice, and Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer actually came out as a movie in the cinemas probably a couple of months back now. I didn't realize that it was then just going to be the next season and released as the next season. So I've actually already seen it.
Yeah, I had some season 2 spoiled in a similar way, and I kind of it's so much more in depth if you watch it in season rather than the sort of cut movie.
It felt a bit disjointed watching it in the cinema, but I did go see it at the Hoyt's Carousel with the motion seats, so that was a bit of extra fun. Kaiju,
nice,
worth it. Kaiju number 8, really, really good.
It is
nice, fresh take on that kind of alien invasion or kaiju world.
It's
My Hero Academia, I'm still waiting for it to pick up. I feel like we're still waiting for whatever the new thing is.
Cool.
All right, so we've got a lot coming as well. So I'm just going to take a breath and let's start getting into it. So June 5th, Junior Aerial Mermaid's Tales season 1 on Disney Plus.
Gone for the movie design of Ariel, but not the movie design of Flounder, thankfully.
Oh, God. June, Baka Hanma versus Kengan Ashura. So that's It's Clint. You might be more familiar with this than I am. It's a shonen crossover, isn't it? Of two different fighting animes.
Yes, and I've never watched either of them.
Okay,
Fighting anime is not really one of my genres that I follow.
Okay, fair enough. June 7th, so that's on Netflix. June 7th, Big City Greens, Spactation on Disney Plus. So June 9th, celebration of Donald Duck's 90th anniversary. That's
Happy birthday, Donald Duck.
Yeah, happy birthday. So there's a few shorts that are being released for that as well. June 12th, Super Kitty Season 2 on Disney Plus.
Oh, man.
June 13th, the big one.
I'm just too old.
Yeah, Inside Out 2. Now that's going to be
Inside Out 2. I'm excited to
June
see
15th.
Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
June 16th, speaking of giant kaiju and superheroes fighting him, Ultraman Rising on Netflix. Interesting redesign of Ultraman. I'm kind of curious to see how that shapes out.
Mhm.
June 19th, Meet Spidey and His Amazing Friends. So it's a series of shorts, season 3 of it, and 5 episodes coming out.
Is that related to the little kids series?
Yeah,
Spidey?
it's not the Spidey, Iceman, and Firestar that we might be more familiar with. Oh,
Nice.
and the dog whose name I've forgotten. Oh, bad fan. Okay, June 20th, Despicable Me 4 is coming out in cinemas. June 22nd, Rising Impact. So that's a golf manga from, golf anime, I should say, based on the manga from Netflix. June 27th, Sword of the Demon Hunter, Kajin Gentoshu on Crunchyroll. So historical fantasy. June 27th, Blue Lock, the movie, episode Nagi. So that's a soccer. Yeah. And that should be interesting. As I said, if that's coming out at Event and other cinemas. 28th of June, we have Zombies, the reanimated series. So based on a kind of a Romeo and Juliet sort of concept with zombies that Disney's done a few live action movie versions of. We're getting an animated series based on that instead. June 28th, Wandler on Apple Plus, which I have no memory of what that is at all.
Okay, so Wandler is a book series by Tony Ditalisi. For those of you who know Dungeons and Dragons, his book series is his own amazing art style. So, as one of my favorite artists, I've been following it for a little while. But I am not sold on the CG redesigns of Wandler, and kind of feel that it loses out from the amazing illustrations of Tony Ditalisi. But I can also understand why they haven't used his illustrations, because they're kind of loose watercolor ink drawings. So yeah.
Pity. On the positive side, fantasy anime certainly got a resurgence of late with Free Run and Delicious in Dungeon, or Dungeon Meshi, however you want to pronounce it. So fingers crossed, eh? Okay, July 1st. We've just had the announcement that Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 is hitting Netflix. So,
about time.
Yeah. Apparently, it's already available in France, not on Netflix, but on the TV France app that they have there, due to the weird sort of licensing deals that happens around it changing over to Netflix from Paramount. So,
Is that
Yeah.
because the locals were involved in some way? Was this
yeah,
like one of those
it's
multi-country
one of
deals?
those pre-existing agreements went before the dumping of the property to Netflix. So,
And the
they
next
have, like-
line item I'm confused by, David.
sorry?
The next line item I'm confused by.
Oh,
Would you
yeah,
like-
okay. So we're getting a re-release of Frozen in the
Why?
You mean on the big screen?
on the big screen, and
Oh.
every
Just
weekend
let it
it's
go.
similar-
Let it go. Let it go.
Oh, okay, sure. I mean, I love Frozen, but holy, the craze behind it is incredible. Yeah. Like,
This
I mean,
gener-
yeah.
Been a considerable number of years since it came out, hasn't it? So
No, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you're still getting, young girls running around in Frozen dresses, and young boys running around in Frozen dresses like the film was released yesterday. It's weird, like how
Has it
long
been
it's
a-
stuck around.
Has it been a decade yet?
Almost.
Ooh, is
Getting
it?
close.
Is this the 10-year re-release? Is that what it is?
I'm just checking.
David's checking.
2013 was Frozen, so
Yeah,
no.
near enough.
It
It
was
is
11
a
years.
decade already.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Whew. Okay, so that's it for the news for us. Any extra things that we might have heard about in the traps?
Hmm. I think we've
Oh.
covered it all shortly.
Re-release. Yes, a re-release of.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And Samantha
definitely not a
agreed with
remake.
that Dungeon.
Yeah.
we're not ready for a remake of Frozen.
Live action version. Oh no.
There already was a live-action version in Once Upon a Time,
Yeah,
the
true.
TV series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's the great debate. We nerd out so you don't have to. Of course, our topic being Pride Month, and of course, we haven't really spoken about the fact that it's Pride Month. But the reason we pulled an extra queer onto the chat with us, because the two straighties feel uncomfortable addressing this.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah.
Wow.
But let's delve into the topic. So bear in mind that David did a good job of researching and doing lots of the finding of the information for us. So he is at least a competent ally, I'd say, despite the fact that he watches anime with questionable actors.
Well, honestly, that's everyone now because of how
Yeah,
involved.
true. That's
Pretty much covered
okay.
everyone.
Fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Whew, so we're going to talk about queer representation in animation, which, of course, Bugs in
Yeah.
Bugs needs a special his own slide, being the I think the description of Bugs, is
Well, certainly
Okay.
the most iconic.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So, look, should I start the ball rolling with the bad stuff to begin with?
talk about the Hays Code.
Yeah. Okay. So, look, although there was definitely some queer representation pre-1934 in animation, that really had the kibosh put on it with the Hays Code released in 1934. And going through to 1968, I believe, before it was actually defined as non-constitutional. Basically, for animation in the movies, there's a Hays Code, which you cannot show any sort of homosexuality overtly because it was covered under sexual crimes and perversion, I believe, for the code itself. And It stayed that way. Similar wording for 1952's TV code that was released around about the time of the HUAC Commission, so you can see why there's a massive conservative swing in America at the time. And you've also got the Comics Code Authority, which, although not directly related to animation, obviously they are close cousins across a number of.
Well, it was an opportunity for the comics companies to manage it themselves rather than manage those queers themselves rather than rely on the haze.
And it shut down a lot of portrayals of anything considered at all licentious or
well,
Yes.
essentially what it was a sort of self-imposed self-censorship. And so learning about the Hays Code is pretty informative for current situations, of the situation we may find ourselves in now. One of the things I think it included was making sure that it preserved family values and Catholic values. So it was very much driven by a lot of religion.
Catholic or Christian values, because you have to be careful, because there is some sort of, in America, those two things can be problematic. Wording.
There's lots of different sects and like SECTS and stuff like that involved in all this, but you had things like, well, obviously no sexually explicit content, even belly buttons were considered horrendous. But there was other stuff as well. It was like the good guys must always win. Full stop. You are not allowed to portray anything negative about things like the army or the police force at all. Yeah. And so you don't see any, like Hollywood doesn't put out a single film critical of the police until Serpico in the 70s. Yeah. Right? With what's his name? Not De Niro, the other one.
Pacino.
Yeah, Pacino. So nothing that promotes bad values, perversion, no swearing, no nothing. Like, guys wear white hats. It was extent
here. The fact that marital beds weren't even allowed to be shown pushed together or something like that. So that's why you get in one division of recently when they're going through the sitcom marks, the two beds coming together, because the 1950s code was not even suggestive of sex on TV to have people that were married to be allowed to be sleeping in the same bed.
You weren't even allowed to say the word pregnant. So
right. So, from a straighty perspective, it's kind of weird looking at all these these emasculated masculine figures all through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like these, people like icons, like, say, John Wayne, who are these effectively sexless dudes. It's really weird. They're sort of manly men, but with absolutely no masculinity about them, except this kind of weird comic book stuff. And in some pictures, people are talking like they're talking off pamphlets. It's kind of weird.
The best John Wayne was the one that Nathan Lane did in the Birdcage.
Yeah, I'd have to say that was pretty good.
So portrayal just dried up almost overnight. The only way that any sort of queer coding was actually happening was either very negative stereotype or looking towards queer coding villains, and even that you had to be very careful of doing. So you got a lot of queer villains in film noir as an antithesis to the hero. The whole movement called which is referred to as gay blades, during that period. So Peter Lorre in the Maltese Falcons, probably a very good sort of example, fondling his cane in a very subtle manner and stuff like that, and very feminine portrayal. That will kind of come period.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that will kind of come back to in the 90s when we're talking about Disney as far as queer villains goes, but go on.
It was the era of the morning after meaningful look, I think. So there was lots of ways people kind of snuck around it, and some directors like Billy Wilder turned it into a profession. really.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
kind of
Nobody's
subloaded.
perfect.
Yeah, in horror and science fiction, such as they were back then, it was mostly sublimated by having talking lizards or, two teenagers get done in the backseat of a car just as they're about to commit a moral outrage. And it's because they're in the backseat canoodling that they get eaten by the monster. So there's this whole moralizing thing going on. And if you're curious, the whole First Amendment thing didn't apply, which you might find a bit surprising. I think it had, if I got my notes here, it had something to do with the fact that Hollywood films were described as a business, not freedom of speech. It's really weird.
Yeah, it doesn't get overturned till, was it the late 50s, early
Right.
60s?
No, 1968 is when it fell over, and you can almost see movies like rebound from this.
Yeah. That was
That's when Hollywood
constitutionally
collapsed.
overturned. I think there was a court case in, I think it was 62, that challenged, and the ruling ended up being that freedom of speech does apply to movies, and that effectively killed the code from there on.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
let's
let's
go on for from the Haynes Code, because we're aware of the prejudices over the years.
I mean, it did produce stuff. It produced stuff like Casablanca, if you think about it. That kind of weird, strange, unique sort of tone and feel of a film. So it's not all bad, but
cool.
But it pretty much died.
There's examples of characterizations that could be sort of thought of as queer in that period of time. So go for it, Tanya, if you think you.
Okay. So Ferdinand the Bull obviously is one of those ones. Recently remade as a 3D movie. I didn't see the updated version, so if anyone out there who saw it has an opinion on how it handled, because Ferdinand was obviously a bull of a more sensitive type, and he frolicked and quite enjoyed flowers, and was definitely played off as a more feminized character. Although Ferdinand the Bull being the plot of the short film, you've got characters like Bugs Bunny, and Bugs is super important during this time, because Warner's really pushed the limits with Bugs. Bugs,
but they were one of the edgiest studios at the time.
Yes. Well, they got away with a lot for some reason. It's just incredible in how like Bugs is definitely one of those characters who is fluid gendered. He is quite comfortable. Even modern iterations of Bugs are like, I just find heels more comfortable. That's Bugs. It's the flirting, kissing the other male characters. There's he's playful and he's sprightly, and he does of course, there's even those lines in films like Wayne's World. Did you ever find Bugs Bunny when he dressed up as a woman attractive? Like, there was
RuPaul actually credits Bugs as an inspiration to them. So
which is brilliant. Like Bugs has been around, during the height of the Hays Code. So Chuck Jones was definitely pushing limits, as and Warner's in general. I don't think Chuck went as overt as, say, Tex Avery during that time.
No.
But he was definitely a lot more
disciplined.
Open. Yeah. So because you look at Tex Avery's stuff, a lot of it is sexist and racist, and whereas there is no negativity about Bugs's queerness at all in any way. He will switch up to play a joke. He will switch up to make a romantic gesture. He will,
Become part
which
of a
is
tragic
why
opera.
gender fluid is probably the most appropriate take on bugs. The more recent versions where they've introduced Lola as a romance character since Space Jam.
Yeah.
Space
The
Jam.
Jessica Rabbit of rabbits. By humbug.
Yeah, and of course, recently, there's been controversy about that because they've slimmed Lola Rabbit down to be a little bit more athletic than voluptuous, and leaving Bugs to be the more voluptuous rabbit is hilarious.
Well, if she was gender fluid and turned into a jackrabbit every now and then, I don't think we'd mind so much. But,
No,
yeah.
true. Well, we don't mind with Bugs. It's incredible how it just slipped through everything, and how loved Bugs is as a character. I've also added a little Snagglepuss down there. Of course, Snagglepuss there's definitely a lot going into Snagglepuss. So Hanna-Barbera skimming close, but not quite there. There's a bit of Liberace in Snagglepuss, and he is definitely a heavily queer-coded character. Yeah, he's played off as theatrical, which was always Liberace
code for being queer back in the day.
Yeah, so
it's like all those well-dressed butlers worried about fine details, or they'd go to a restaurant in some old black and white film, and there's always some uptight guy that's very, very expressive, shall we say, or very emotional, and that would be one way of kind of slipping it past the censors. So, yeah.
Anything from your childhood that stands out as being an important mainstay, Clint?
Oh, I mean, I definitely watched Bugs and Snagglepuss growing up. Maybe it was a rerun that I watched. I don't think I was old enough to watch them the first time around.
No, neither was I.
But I think
possibly Snagglepuss, but
I mean, for me, I was obviously really into Transformers, and supposedly they didn't have gender until, weirdly enough, they introduced fembots.
That sounds so wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely going to talk about Transformers because obviously the backgrounds of both you and David. You can't see David's Transformers, and my cabinet's not here. So, but okay. So we got Coonskin. You mentioned Coonskin in the intro section. Dave, are you talking about in terms of
okay? Well, let's go through with the fall of the Hays Code in '68. There was a bit more freedom let up for TV. So what happened is they started to sneak homosexual representation, gay representation in on TV. It was homosexual representation at that stage, and they were using the old queer villain coding to get to the cross, and it was pretty horrific. And because Stonewall happened and gay rights movements was starting to kick off, obviously that became part of their interest, was looking at how people are portrayed on TV, and seeing a very negative portrayal, they reached out to see what they could do to actually change this. So you had a series of both communications with the networks and activities against the networks themselves. So sit-ins, protests, rating news events and staging of talk shows and live events where they could get TV coverage. Eventually leading to, so you had the GAA, the LFL, and eventually led to the National Gay Task Force, which actually started working with channels to look at more positive representation during the later part or mid-late 70s. So you had that coming through, but that was still only basically in live action. At the same time, I think we can also take a look at Ralph Bakshi's as far as representations in Heavy Traffic and Coonskin, which we did see gay and transgender representation. It was pretty awful. I think we can pretty much lay there, especially in Coonskin. Coonskin's part of the whole thing is it is awful representation of almost everyone because it's trying to be a wake-up call, but oh god,
it doesn't age well.
No, it doesn't. It does not age well at all.
In fact, I don't think it aged even when it was there. So
Ralph Bakshi was an anti-established view of animation, so he was definitely pushing limits and pushed them in different directions. So, the representations in Coonskin are not great, and other Ralph Bakshi films. Like, as a pioneer of our industry, so it's a little hard to go back and watch some of those films. Well,
we're talking about Western animation, so let's look at what's happening overseas.
Japan sailed serenely on, basically, untroubled by such problems. So,
okay, whew. Look at this. I got some. I don't know half these characters. Clint, you should know that I tend not to watch anime. I'm not. There's a few things that I know. I'm not. So you're the expert here in terms of anime stuff. What Dave has is basically stuff that he's watched and what I know of. So I know of Ranma. Half? Is that
Ranma half? Yep.
Okay, which was a manga series that got turned into an anime. Character changes gender when they get water splashed on them. Transformative stuff, definitely there. As far as I'm aware, it's played as a shtick where the main character is in love with someone, and every time they try and hit on them, they get splashed with water and end up as a female character. Comedy shtick. So
it's more an accidental narrative than a deliberate one. I feel. I don't think the author's trying to actually say anything profound in regards to that as far as the identity goes.
So Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus from Sailor Moon.
Even Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was bisexual/pansexual. Sailor Neptune was lesbian in a relationship with Sailor Uranus. Sailor Pluto was ace or asexual. And then, according to my boyfriend, because I had to quiz him, he's the Sailor Moon fan. I didn't really watch Sailor Moon, but he was saying there was even the Sailor Starlights, who were 3 female Sailor Scouts, but then when they lived as kind of like regular humans, they lived as like male presenting. So they were all, so that was an interesting, and this is all in the early 90s.
Yeah.
In fact, Bill dates back to the 70s, I believe, with was it Rosa Versailles? It's one of the first examples of manga. So we're talking 76, and that did get an anime series as well, released around about the same time. So
I've seen bits and pieces of that sort of stuff, but it's not my world. I watched a lot of Sailor Moon when I was younger, and G-Force, obviously, and Battle of the Planets, and like the westernized anime stuff, but
like I did watch Sailor Moon, but I was really only interested in the transformation phases. I didn't care about the story at all.
Fair enough. What else? So you've got Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know what any of these stuff like, and I've put two characters that you've listed there, Clint. So you said that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
What the? I don't know that one.
Yeah, so that's the blue-haired character bottom right on the screen there, and that's Rimuru Tempest, and they're the main kind of protagonist in the series, lead character, and they're agendered, so like no particular gender.
Right. Just is that the same? Is that like being not a hermaphrodite? The opposite.
No.
Like genderless.
No.
Okay.
No, you're thinking sexual. Yeah.
No. So also use of the word hermaphrodite, please. Not a what. Intersex is the correct term. So.
Intersect. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of that sort of thing, there's
But I suppose just to clarify on that point, agender is to do with gender presentation versus intersex, which is sexual characteristics, like the physical.
Yeah. Right.
There you go. Thank you, Clint.
And I did put together a wee little list of all my favorite animes. So if anyone's listening and wants to kind of get a list together, these all have LGBTQIA plus characters in them. So we have Bleach, and I'll do it in alphabetical order. Bleach, which is a really great fantasy, like superpowers and like samurai and all that kind of stuff. Blue Period, which is actually a high school kind of drama to do with paint, like in the art school, and it's all about painting and kind of like when I first heard about it, I was like, what? Why would I want to watch an anime about painting? But it's actually really good. And bottom left on the screen there, the long blonde-haired kind of female-looking character is one of the characters in Blue Period. That's Ryuji Yukawa, and they're trans female. Is Danmachi, which is like a dungeon adventure type leveling up show. It's also, the English name for it is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? ? Or Danmachi titles for short. Yep. Dead Mount Death Play. One that's recently come out this year, Frieren Beyond Journey's End. So the main character, Frieren, is several thousand-year-old elf, or 1,000-year-old, and is Arrow Ace, so aromantic, asexual.
I was really interested with that sort of take on her, because I wouldn't have seen it as that. It's great to get other views. So, because I was just reading it as society and trauma making her that way, due to her personal trauma and her upbringing as from a human mage. So yeah, that was fantastic.
And that could be people's similar kind of experiences as well. There's characters in Full Metal Alchemist, Hunter x Hunter, Inuyasha, Jujutsu Kaisen we've mentioned before. My Hero Academia has one character that I'm aware of. It's kind of like a baddie, sort of, is bisexual. I forget her name, but she has the hots for I can't even remember their names now.
Shape-changing powers based on blood.
Yeah. One Punch Man has a character in it. One Piece has some very fantastical, flamboyant villains. Overlord, which is about like skeleton king, overpowered ruler. Yeah. Seven Deadly Sins has a few characters. Shangri-La has a character. Sama Spider, So What, which is another isekai reincarnation. Sword Art Online, or SAO, which was my first kind of introduction, second time round to anime, and got me hooked the second time round.
Is that? I thought that was an MMO of some sort of. No?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yes.
They wear the helmets, and it's virtual.
Okay.
Yeah, first person, but then they get trapped inside the world and have to live out their life, and eventually do manage to escape. And then that time I got reincarnated as slime was the last on my list. And these are all pretty recent animes, so more recently there's a lot more variety in the representation.
There was definitely a lot of classic queer-coded villains in older series. I mentioned Gatchaman, Battle of the Planets, G-Force, whatever you called it. Had Zoltar, which obviously there was definitely questions about the gender of that character, especially in the final episode when they were unmasked, potentially being a female character at the end, which is being played as a male villain through the entire series, and despite having awesome nails and awesome lipstick.
Nice.
Being revealed as a female character at the end. I'm just thinking of other like 60s and 70s and 80s anime stuff. Back then, standout characters. Not so much.
So I just go to Char. I know he's canonically straight and terrifyingly a thing for young girls in some of the literature, but an opera cape and a helmet and a sense of drama that is just to absolutely die for.
What's that for?
Char Aznavour in Gundam.
Okay.
Yes.
So, there's also a very pretty character design across most anime characters. There's definitely that what do they call it, Bushido style. But yeah, I'm not an expert in that area, and I'm sure lots of anime fans will be kicking my butt when I get to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
But okay.
All right.
So outside of that, let's go west.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we're skipping the 80s, but we'll come back to some of that. Although, can I mention one character?
No, absolutely. No.
Skeleton and Super Ted, maybe the first openly gay character, despite not in Western animation, despite not being actually admitted to be that till 2010, I think it might have been, that the creator came out and filled in the backstory there. So there's a lot of that that's going to be going around for this section when we're talking about the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so we can definitely talk about the lead up, because Disney Renaissance, obviously the queer-coded villains.
So you've got quite a few during the classic Renaissance of Disney. There's a lot of queer-coded villains. A lot of them are created by Andreas Deja, one of the animators, an openly gay animator at the time. But there was quite a few openly gay creative people involved in various aspects of Disney at the time as well. Perhaps the best example of those villains being queer coded is the Sea Witch Ursula, based on Divine, John Waters' favorite ingenuity drag queen. Very, very distinctive design there, and very clear inspiration being drawn from that.
Mm-hmm.
During the
Ursula,
90s,
yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, yeah, definitely Ursula, and just the posing and the theatrics of Divine. Ursula is a drag queen. It's like, definitely a lot of work was put into to move that across to the Little Mermaid, which go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Other than that, there's a lot of either secondary characters providing queer representation, or very, very closeted primary characters providing queer representation.
Are we talking about the sassy sidekick?
No, not necessarily. Like during the 90s, obviously they saw that representation was needed, but studios weren't sort of willing to take that step for fear of backlash. And so it became the role of secondary characters. So, you get characters such as, for Gargoyles, Lexington, despite being a main character, was never admitted to be gay until about 10 years after, with an interview with Greg Wiseman saying that he always intended, well, during the writing process, it became obvious that Lexington was queer, and but was never allowed by the studio to state that. You've got character Fox in Gargoyles as well, who's a secondary character that is allowed to be bisexual. Starts off dating Xanatos, Evil Will Riker, as most people know him, and ends up in a relationship with a woman next time you see her. Puck's also the fairy-like Puck is confirmed to be bi, but again after the event rather than actual portrayal in the series itself. Simpsons, similarly, Waylon Smithers and Patty Bouvier. Waylon didn't come out officially to sometime in the 2010s. I think it might be as late as 2016. He officially came out of the closet, admitting he was gay. But named after a queer puppeteer, Waylon Flowers, I believe. And, obviously intended to be a gay character since then. I think Patty might have come out in 2006, 2010, somewhere around there, in the same-sex marriage episode they're doing, which name escapes me at this moment in time, so sorry about that. But yeah, there's two characters from The Simpsons that have been there since almost day dot.
There's been a smattering of Simpsons characters that have been queer. Like anything, Simpsons kind of waned and disappeared. But having Smithers, who is obviously gay, basically in everything that he said. As a main character, his love for Mr. Bones is weird, but sure, whatever.
You can't help who you love.
We need to look at potentially, because it's the 90s as well. South Park has had questionable representation of queer people and positive representation of queer people as well, but done in a really poor way. But I think that's just South Park.
It's meant to be confrontational, and it is.
Big Gay Al was kind of the first openly gay character on South Park, and Stan's dog Sparky being the second one.
Big AL's like from episode 4 of South Park, so that far back.
Very early on. And of course the multiple nuances of Mr. Garrison as a character. And
But he's more of a guy in denial, though, isn't he?
Well, the treatment of Mr. Garrison in terms of being a potentially trans character and then not a trans character, and how they treated that, and dealt with the revealing that was a mess and really poorly done. The creatives have since sort of said that that was definitely a misstep on their part, but yeah, damage was done post that point. Mr. Garrison is it was also a really questionably negative character, like always played for complete selfishness and portrayed in a really negative way. On the other hand,
just coming back
on.
to gargoyles,
Yes.
I was just doing a bit of Googling because I remember
oh no,
Yep.
series.
Oh,
Okay,
Damn it.
you've frozen
we're
there,
hanging
Clint.
on his every
Actually
word.
get there.
Yeah, there we go.
no, he's
Oh, sorry.
he's
Did I stop?
yeah,
Kind of
you've frozen on us. So
Had a little Mitch McConnell moment there.
yeah,
Oh no.
your
Everyone else
vision's
seems frozen to me as
frozen.
well.
We can see you in a still frame, but we can still hear you. So.
We can hear you.
So I was just saying, with regards to gargoyles, I was reading that they're doing a live action remake. Have any of you heard anything about that? And would
No.
hopefully these characters get their light of day?
There's been talk about remakes for a while, whether it carries on from the series previously. I'm curious how they handle a live action version of the Gargoyles. Obviously, they've got the CG technology to do it, but why would you not go back to the 2D? It was such a iconic series, so different than the other stuff Disney had done. It definitely stood out, and with the cast all being Star Trek alumni,
Yeah.
it was geek fodder big time back then. So a live action version. I'm not a big fan of any of the live action versions. I think the only live action version I've thoroughly enjoyed was the what was it? The Cruella de Vil one. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk Powerpuff Girls. I can. Okay, as number one Powerpuff Girl fan in the room, Powerpuff Girls on my socks, in my room, in my cabinet, all of that. So totally, him as a character, as a. I think the description for these sorts of characters, kind of covering bugs as well, was best said for to describe the Dean from Community as a raising pansexual imp. Pretty much that's a kind of creature of chaos who doesn't conform to anything. Him really awesomely designed character, runs around in high heels, has big claws for
Fibers,
hands.
please.
Yeah. Not only one of two queer characters with claws on their hands. We'll talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So interesting. The crabby thing is definitely something. I don't know whether they think gay people have crab claws, but maybe we do. Maybe we do.
Not that they came out at the same time, but for some reason it also reminded me of the Grumble from Are Real Monsters, who had lipstick,
yes.
nail, like claws, nail polish, and then 6 feet with all in heels.
Absolutely, and I'd forgotten about the Grumble. Holy yes! Absolutely. Our Real Monsters was a great series, and yeah, the Grumble, of course.
Similar voice acting as well in some ways. Able to pitch tones all over the place and keep it, yeah.
Yeah, totally forgot about that character. What's Tokyo Godfathers?
I haven't actually had a chance to catch it as a movie, but I thought it popped up in my feed, and I thought it was great. The fact that in 2003, Tokyo Godfathers, we actually got a trans character make it to the big screen. As far as Hannah goes, there as well as one of the 3 main characters that's looking after of homeless people looking after a child. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So should we talk about go to finish off the picture bingo here? Do you want to do Velma?
Yeah. So because you can totally talk about Cora, Velma, of course. Often, taken as a queer icon. Velma. Not Velma. Yes, totally Velma. My brain has gone blank. I'm going like, no, Daphne. No, it's totally Velma. So Velma as a potentially bi or lesbian character has long been thought, considering initially based off of her take on fashion, and beyond that, just her tenaciousness, I suppose. Obviously, they couldn't really address it in any way, and it's only been in recent iterations that they've implied and then outrightly stated in the last couple of years that Velma is gay, which, welcome to the club. Welcome. It's great that you've come out. But there's still a very contested point online as Velma being a queer character. There's a lot of backlash to her being retroactively rewritten as a gay character.
It's weird. I don't remember the backlash coming out for Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., which the narrative happens there. She starts off dating Shaggy. She ends up with hot dog water, Marcy, and going to university under Harlan Ellison, which is just very wrong. But as far as teaching goes,
was her identity explored further in the Velma TV series?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I think she's bi in the Velma TV series. The creator of Mystery Inc. States that she's a lesbian by the end of Mystery Inc. But so that's interesting. When he posted a picture of her and Marcy against a rainbow flag for Pride Month, I can't remember what year it was. But yeah.
So 2010, I think the PM, although there was small little smatterings of it, it's like 2010 onwards. There's this beginning to have positive queer representation in some animations starting to appear. Legend of Korra, talk about that.
Okay, so 2012, Legend of Korra, follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender, a series looking at events for the next Avatar in the reincarnation line. and set decades after the story that we were originally familiar with. Look, Cora starts off as looking for her identity as an avatar, quite confident in her abilities, as opposed to Aang, who's struggling with his abilities as an avatar and his role in the world. But she kind of is not as confident in herself, and part of her journey is a journey of exploration as to what it actually means for her to be the avatar, and it ends up with her re-examining her own sexuality as well, and ending up in a same-sex relationship, ironically with the girlfriend, the girlfriend that she was the cheated person on, or who she cheated on with the boyfriend initially. So in the first season, it's an interesting sort of change, and it kind of just grows through the 4 seasons. And yeah, it's a nice exploration, and that's one of the things that makes that series so good is its exploration of character and development of character. All right, so we're gonna go to the big one in 2013, are we now, Tanya?
Oh yeah, Steven Universe. Okay. Steven Universe is yeah.
You should totally sing the theme song.
That would subject people to my voice and singing.
No, not going to sing the Steven Universe theme song. But yeah, we are the Crystal Gems. It is so awesome, like in terms of representation. So Rebecca Sugar, who created the series. Oh, what do you got there? Ooh, is that a sapphire and a ruby? Nice. So
I have it framed.
I'm at some point going to introduce the crystal gems to my girlfriend. So I didn't want to spoil it too much while she's floating around the house. But basically, Steven Universe is 3 female presenting aliens looking after a young boy, which is definitely the opposite of any Tom Selleck movie from the that kind of what was the Tom Selleck Ted Danson movie?
3 Men in a Cradle.
3 Men and a Baby. 3 Men and a Baby. Yeah. So
sorry, 3 Men in a Cradle is the French original. Yeah.
So
as opposed to the Leonard Nimoy directed, is it?
Well, the American version went, oh baby.
Yeah.
Rebecca Sugar. I'm not sure how she presents. How they present.
She's non-binary.
Yeah.
I thought she was non-binary.
Did a great job of integrating romantic relationships for a single gender species of aliens, and also integrating how they are intimate with each other in a really really personal and unique way, and they show it on the animations by the fusions, where the 2 characters, if they like each other enough, they blend together to be a new character, which is an awesome concept. And it's also shown in a negative way when you've got an abusive relationship as well. But yeah, there's the main theme across it is this queer love across an entire species, and there's the different gems. There's questions about how they mix and how it has a lot of very, very overt statements about sexuality and race and gender in there. even with the main character Stephen himself, who because he is part gem, half gem, has some of those abilities, and how he fuses with other characters as well, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Stefani is very, very interesting as a concept, and what it explores a bit of fluidity. Yeah. Also, we should mention first 2018 first queer wedding on children's animation.
Yes, so Steven Universe has a queer wedding, which is amazing. So of course Clint showed you the picture. If you want to talk about Steven Universe in any way, like, I'm happy to let you go and beam about it. But yeah, I can talk endlessly about Steven Universe. I love the series so much. So
I love it so much that the wedding scene is like my pinned post on my Facebook profile.
Nice, so good.
I just love everything about how Ruby and Sapphire became Garnet, which is the character with the big black hair in the top left photo.
So yeah,
and it's just
being a fusion character, but that's not revealed until like the end of the first season, and it's like whoa. It's suddenly, because they introduced the concept of fusion like episode 6 or 7 with the giant woman episode.
And there's there's a million rubies and a million sapphires, but this particular ruby, this particular sapphire, and rubies tend to be very like rough and boisterous, and sapphires tend to be very kind of meek and like, I guess, feminine, and
insightful as well. Yeah,
ethereal. Yeah,
it's very cool. Should talk about Volt.
I was going to say, should we also talk as to why part of the reason that Steven Universe was created was Rebecca's annoyance at Adventure Time and not being able to put a queer story or same-sex relationship between Marty and Princess Bubblegum and getting kicked back from the studio.
To the point where the entire Steven Universe had to be created before they let that happen in Adventure Time, and it's generally recognized as one of the awesome animation queer relationships, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, because they skirt around it for a long time. Like, it's did kind of implied that Finn is the hero who will eventually date Princess Bubblegum early on, but once they developed the series a lot deeper, those characters sort of went in their own direction and did amazing things. So quite liked that. But it did require Steven Universe to fulfill all those goals before Adventure Time would touch them. Despite having similar audience across the two series. What do we got? We got Voltron Legendary Defender.
I'll take this one. Shiro, Commander of the Black Paladins, is revealed as gay in season 7, I believe. I think his partner or boyfriend is killed in that exact same episode that he's revealed to be gay. So fulfilling the bury your gays trope in the late 2016. Jeez. And he pretty much gets sidelined for most of season 8 after that reveal. So it's just, it wasn't all great portrayals after after the 2010s. There were still some people that dropped the ball badly. But that will bring us to 2018 and She-Ra, Princess of Power, Tanya.
Oh, do I have to talk about this one?
Well, it's a great.
Okay.
I mean, the first couple of series, there's this fantastic kind of Fremini relationship, intimacy, if you like, or falling out between the two main leads, She-Ra and what's her name, the Catra.
Yes,
I thought that was brilliant when I was watching it, and then they kind of dropped the ball at the end and just did a fast, rapid ending and just wound it all up in a couple of stories that felt very undeserved. So that was my reaction to that. I thought up for most of that, there was a really, really interesting hero-villain thing going on there. It was good. It wasn't the usual
do you have
nonsense.
any thoughts on that, Clint? Because you raised the ceiling.
So, yeah. So I agree with all of that. I think initially when it aired, I was like, WTF is this? It's not She-Ra. Because I love the original She-Ra. But I did come to like that they were trying to represent more queer characters, and they had a same-sex parent partnership going on, as well as different journeys, identity journeys going on. Unfortunately, they did try and just wrap everything up in a nice bow towards the end a bit too quickly. But
it felt clumsy.
Yeah.
But I liked that it was done, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, this has been done now. Let's do it better with other shows.
See, I never saw the original, so I don't know it from a bar. So
I am a big fan of the original. I loved the new series. Really, really enjoyed it for the same reason. Loved the representation. I absolutely cannot get behind any relationship between Catra and Adora. From any perspective, it was a horribly abusive relationship, and it being portrayed as romantic and having them get together at the end was just terrifying. Like and hearing people go, oh, Cat Dora as a, totally shipping those characters. It made me sick to my stomach. Like Catra as a villain character, and definitely having a thing for Adora. That
was a great dynamic.
It was, and having them get together, and after Catra pretty much destroys the universe nearly. It's all in the name of jealousy and it was a really, really toxic relationship, and and I don't like that it was portrayed as a positive one. But outside of that, exactly the same thing. The queer representation is great. The take on all the other characters and how they come together. Obviously, we have a very, very butch crab claws Scorpia. She's very cool, and a lot of the other characters tend to sit in the background and do some awesome representation. I just absolutely was thrown by them pushing the relationship with Catra and Adora, and it really, really,
don't know about the rest of you, but I had a similar reaction to the end of the Steven Universe movie, where all the gem mothers or the diamond gems come together and adopt their missing. Spinner. I was like, all my alarm bells went off on that one because it felt a bit too soon. And essentially it's been abandoned, and then suddenly, why don't we put them in the care of our evil aunts? all three of them.
Well,
It's like-
because they're not quite evil aunts.
So-
That's the one thing I love about
Yeah.
Steven Universe is it's all
I
about
like the
trying to
redemption
find
thing.
common ground.
I was a bit wary, to be honest. That kind of jarred. Maybe it's because I had to do it all in one big single episode or something.
Yeah.
But I think that's what really kind of made it not work for me. If it had been episodic and they'd built it up through a series, then I think that would have worked much better. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think, Clint?
I need to watch it again, but there was definitely some icky parts in that.
It stood out. That was the thing that stood out to me. There's
So a mainstay of like 90s TV, Arthur, becoming so they did a remake of Arthur, is that right?
No, it's still continuing on. 22 years. This one's interesting because 2019 you had same-sex marriage in Arthur. It's the second storyline major storyline they've done in Arthur that has same-sex representation. The previous one they did called Sugar Time, which is, I think might be about 2005, 2010, somewhere around that sort of period. Looking at a school kid with two mothers, actually almost got the series defunded by the then chairman of education at the time, looking if it was appropriate TV for them to appropriate for a TV episode that was supposedly educational, or at least educational adjacent as far as, and entertainment adjacent. So it's interesting sort of road sign as to how much things have actually changed in relatively short period of time, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people still haven't quite caught up with it.
Yeah. I mean, it still had issues. I think there were still places in Alabama that it wasn't allowed to be screened, and there is talk of a public libraries actually being able to show that instead to allow it to be screened. But you know, it is what it is.
Okay, so more recent. So we're definitely seeing a influx in the last 5 years of queer characters and representation. There's lots of 2020s here. So the Owl House, great series. The character is established as bi from very early on.
Yes.
And they get into a queer relationships in the first and second season, so that's pretty good. Owl House is a fun series. It's for sort of your younger viewers. It's but it starts dealing with more mature things as it goes along. I never saw Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts.
Nor have I, but canonically it's the first kids-themed animation that actually has one of their central characters come out and canonically state that they are gay. So, and that's in 2020 that actually happens. So again, we're not quite as far along as we hope.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was a cool little series, that one.
Yeah. I honestly didn't see it, so it's one of those things that just passed me by. So we've got Star Trek Lower Decks. There's Mariner's relationship with Jennifer is not front and center. It's definitely not avoided, and there's definitely a running thing with Mariner being queer through the series. Though we've talked endlessly about Lower Decks in previous episodes, so let's not go too deeply into that. Harley Quinn. So the Harley Quinn TV series was kind of a surprise. I think it was created or at least driven by Penny from what was the name of the Big Bang Theory? So
Yeah,
she's
hang
the
on.
voice. She's the voice of Harley Quinn. She drove the series to start with and pushed it out there. As was a big voice to get, Harley as a character. The queer relationship with Poison Ivy starts happening season 2, and sort of it's the season finale, really, is it? David?
Yeah. The that coming together is the season finale of season 2, and breaking up their marriage with Kite Man.
The marriage of Kite Man, like never, ever would I have thought that Kite Man would be a character on a TV series, but here we are. Yeah, yes, it's times have definitely changed. Well, can we skip the Transformers, because obviously you guys want to talk about Transformers, and let's go into X-Men 97.
I haven't watched Earthspark, so I can't comment on that one.
But yeah, definitely there's talk to be had about those classic Transformers, that kind of thing. So X-Men, Morph. I'm not an X-Men fan, so I haven't seen any of the X-Men 97 yet.
Do you want to take this one?
I love it. That's all I can say. I love that Morph has more personality and more of a role in X-Men 97, and it's a continuation of the original X-Men series in the 90s that I think finished in 97.
96, 97's the time for the continuation. So
yeah, and it just picks up right where the last episode ended of the original series. And yeah, I was really interested to see how they would, what is this now, 20, 30 years later almost, how they're going to push the boundaries with that representation, because it's times have changed, perceptions and I guess acceptance and awareness has changed. So it's been, and I suppose in that gap, there's been lots of comics that have come out, and I put in the notes there that a lot of the main characters have had, like Storm, Wolverine, Beast, Jubilee, have had in the comics alternate universe versions of themselves that have been queer, identified or in relationships. So I was curious to see how that would kind of come through in 97.
True.
And it works well as the X-Men for metaphor as well. X-Men has always been working with that metaphor, initially for civil rights, but to the 80s and 90s looking more at the gay queer movements and gay rights. And yeah, they are certainly shouting it very loud in X-Men 97, and I love it for it. It doesn't feel like, this is rewriting everything. It's all there in the text initially. But Sunspot coming out to his mother as a mutant, and her reaction is just such a good metaphor for coming out. And it's like, that's all right, honey, but we'll just keep it a secret. And it's like, Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. Just don't tell your grandparents.
Yeah. Charles and Magneto are meeting in the bar, talking in coded talk, a relationship, and then revealing themselves to each other is another great moment of metaphor there. And looking at queer relationships. Oh boy, yeah, it's fantastic. I really do appreciate what they've done with the series, and of course, Morph that admitting to Wolverine how he feels. Oh geez, but having to take Jean Grey's face to do it. Oh god, that just hurt. That just hurts.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Cool. So two things from this year. We've got Has Been Hotel. Yeah, so a lot of the students are in on this at the moment, and they're super excited. My students,
very excited.
Yeah, loving Has Been Hotel. I haven't seen any of it yet. I do like the style of it. I do know that some of the animation is done here in Australia. So very curious.
It's like you're seeing a 2020 style emerge.
It's yeah. There's definitely like references to animations of the last few years, like Cats Can't Dance. There's so Has Been Hotel is from the same person who did like a hell of a boss on YouTube. There's did I just say Cats Don't Dance? I'm trying to remember what the name of the cat animation was.
For those watching along, it's the big image bottom right that's all like pink and red and whatnot. Yeah.
Pink and red and curved sharp points.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
It's a very
if you're not a fan
style.
if you're not a fan of musicals, you might not like it, but it's definitely for adults. Musical comedy, and I love that the main character, the protagonist, is bisexual and in a sapphic relationship, and pretty much every central character is queer.
Well.
And we've just lost Tanya. Hopefully we're still broadcasting.
Oh, okay. Man, there is so much animation I have not caught up with this year.
Yeah,
It's
I know, we'll
ridiculous.
have to go through a few. Should we, who wants to talk about Arc?
Arc? I don't know it.
Yeah, I'm not up with that one, I have to admit.
Oh, so I've played the game, but that's about it, really.
So it is based on the game.
Right.
And I put some notes in here because I'm currently watching it, and I
look at that.
I love that. I love the idea of it, but some of it is some things just irritate me. But I love the fact that the main character is an Indigenous Australian, young female academic paleontologist, and you see scenes where they're presenting on stage to their peers. So obviously, quite prominent in that space. Is a lesbian, is married, and then is also voiced by an Indigenous actor, Madeline Madden, who's also been in Wheel of Time, if you've seen that, and in the live action Dora the Explorer. So I love it for all of those reasons. But some of it feels really clunky, like when you see Helena, the main character, kind of meets, and because I've been watching it with my boyfriend, she meets another strong female character, and he was like, oh yeah, they're going to be in a relationship by the end of this. And I think it was like 2 episodes later. Yeah. So it was kind of, some of the things were quite predictable.
Yeah. I've seen one episode. I quite like, it's got dinosaurs and lesbians in it. I'm happy. So
it's the fashion these days. I think Horizon Zero Dawn has robot dinosaurs and a lesbian in it. So there we go.
These days, yeah, definitely. Cool. So we've talked about stuff. Obviously, there's stuff from our childhood that we should broach a little. Three of us are big Transformers fans. So
sorry, kids.
We can definitely talk about that. You're the odd one out this time, Lynn.
Oh no! Oh look, whenever I see the Transformers, I just see tacky toy tie-ins in the 80s. Growing up as a teenager during the 80s and thinking, oh, that Reagan administration, bah humbug. Cartoons have gone to shit. And now I'm surrounded by people 10 years my junior that think it was the greatest period of all the time. So
I have to wander through the house to show off my collection. Hold on. There we go.
Here we go. Watch out, everybody.
Nurse to the hand. Yay.
Lightbox goes live.
All right. Should we start with the represented queerness from Earthspark, which is one of the new Earth-based Transformers coming out as non-binary as part of their identity when they're coming to terms with themselves, which kicked off a hullabaloo from the usual source that you expect a hullabaloo to be kicked off from in American TV. But Transformers has been kind of queer for a while in secondary media to a degree, I'd say. You've got Beast Wars, the Japanese translation, which they apparently decided to, keeping costs down, have a male actor as the voice talent for Airraiser and a male actor for the voice talent of Tigatron. So if you're familiar with the actual show itself, there's a romantic relationship between those two characters. So they accidentally had a same-sex relationship in Japanese TV as far as the translation went. So that's fantastic. I love that. You've got the IDW comics for Transformers, which goes into a lot of detail as far as their gender identity, sexual identity, as far as it can be applied to a cybernetic life form. You end up with numerous queer characters in a number of those comics. Prowl is queer. Rewind from Blaster, of course, is queer. And I believe Cyclonus ends up in a relationship by the end of the... I just want to say, Guiding Light? Blinding? Oh, God, I can't remember the comic for the life of me.
Tailgate.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, there's a lot.
Tailgate. Hold on, there's a queer robot character called Tailgate.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, if you want to see my take on the Transformers, I will have to refer to an online source. Just Google the mighty Unconvincitron, and that sums it up perfectly.
Oh, negative Nancy there. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Negative Nancy.
Obviously, I'm RC is one of those characters that stood out early on as one of the first early female characters that came through. She was introduced in the movie.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. So 1986. Yeah. That was really cool, actually, seeing her. Although she doesn't have a cool transform like her Cybertronian car form is. But I do have Nasty somewhere.
Nice.
I mean, to be fair, I always thought it was strange that their Cybertronian forms had space for people.
Yes.
It was like,
Yes.
there's no one driving you, so why do you have a windscreen and space for humans to sit in?
Oh, we didn't think that one through, did we? Oops.
That's true.
Gosh
Wow.
darn it.
Yeah, true. But you know, I'm
sold.
big into the Dinobots and things like that. But there's purely the transforming nature of Transformers as well, which you know, a lot of people latch onto as one of those things. I was going to bring up the original She-Ra as being one of those inspirational things for me. The idea of a character that could raise aloft her magic sword and say, by the honor of Grayskull, and become She-Ra was definitely one of those things that stuck with me during my childhood. The amount of times that I ran around with a stick and said, for the honor of Grayskull, hoping to turn into She-Ra, that would be awesome.
I tended to gravitate towards the more heroic kind of stronger She-Ra / Princess Adora character versus Prince Adam and He-Man.
Yeah,
I kind of found his character a bit but She-Ra / Princess Adora was like, yeah.
True. I liked all the characters that surrounded Adora and She-Ra as well. Like the secondary characters were a lot more. It was a show that came out like 2 or 3 seasons after the original He-Man. So, and it was written by J. Michael Straczynski, who went on to do Babylon 5. So,
he went on to do Murder, She Wrote before that, then Babylon 5.
Well, Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Okay, you just winked out there for a bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking, wasn't Bluey's Chili a She-Ra fan?
Yes. There's totally an episode. There's totally the
80s.
A She-Ra episode.
Mythical past in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth watching.
Totally a She-Ra episode.
It's quite funny. She saves Bandit from a curse.
Oh, have we lost Clint?
I think
he's moving. He's just
good. Okay. I've just got a blank screen.
So he's alive.
I'm just looking at the time as well. We're almost an hour over time. So should we start wrapping it up?
We should start wrapping it up. So standout queer representation from our lives in animation. So start with 2 straighties. So Dave.
Okay.
Look, you know how much I relate to Steven Universe. All of that is just wondrous with me. I think that's going to have to be my pick. Other than that, considering how much I've just been watching Lower Decks recently, let's go with Mariner as well, because he is an amazing character.
As the other straighty, I would say Steven Universe still looms Everest-like on the horizon compared to everything else. And it wasn't just the gay representation, it was just the fact for once we had a fucking decent male animated lead character that starts off as an annoying kid and actually grows up. And what's more, there's not 1 but 3 motherly figures doing it. It was great on so many different levels. Oh, and it mixed in a bit of music, a bit of a musical, and it mixed in good old-fashioned hard sci-fi space opera in there without so much as missing a beat or screwing anything up. The whole fusion thing was just brilliant. And what's really weird is that I've actually known gay friends of the family that actually had fusion names. There'd be 2 people and they'd come together and we'd know them collectively as a single name, made up of their 2 single names. And I think that happened 2 or 3 times. So when I saw that, it's like, it didn't even occur to me that it was some wild new idea. I was like, oh yeah, that's just how it is. Like, wait a minute. Someone's
now they do it for every shipped relationship.
Yeah, that's right. And now that just like it seemed like the most natural thing. It was just unforced and effortless. It was really good. I've watched it twice through the whole thing, all 5 series of it or 4 series of it or whatever it is. It's really impressive.
And the real raw emotion too.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Clint? What's yours?
So we didn't actually touch on it because I don't think it's typically part of the LGBT kind of spectrum, but I actually really loved Gem from Gem and the Holograms.
I was going to say Gem and the Holograms myself, actually. So nice. We're on the same page.
Because I love, like she uses the power of holograms from Synergy to transform herself from, kind of a more straight-laced businesswoman, Jerica, into Gem, who's just kind of out of the box, outrageous, and just does all the glitz and glam.
Yeah.
And that was, she was everything. Like, I love Transformers, don't get me wrong, but I idolized Gem, and I still do.
Yeah. Gem and the Holograms.
That was empowering for me.
Series.
Yeah.
Great. And a lot of that, like there's definitely a lot of positive feminine characters through that entire series. So the whole series is based less around the relationships, although the main character relationship, they definitely have that going on, but the focus is Jerica, raising money to look after her home for orphan girls, using Gem as the leading point for that. It was the show that I was thinking about mentioning as well. I really love even the villain characters stand out. The Misfit.
Oh yeah.
Definitely had a huge crush on Stormer. Yes. And just in case you don't get the blue hair thing.
We do.
Yeah. But I really, really loved it. And yes, that's right. We have gone nearly an hour over, which makes this officially our longest episode. So thank you very much for joining us, Clint.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. It's been very nice to discuss this through. We have gone through a lot of stuff. Hopefully, there's some traffic on the Gamers Facebook page and Queer Perth as well. We've put the links below, and you should be able to follow that. And definitely listen to your other podcast, which is where you guys do film reviews over there.
Yeah. So we've kind of put a pause on that one, but that was Trusted or Busted, where we reviewed movies from the I can't remember now, 90s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
I wanted 80s, but I got overruled.
80s would be better.
Oh,
If you
that's
ever
what
doing
that's what I
80s,
felt.
Yeah, purely for the the questionable queer representation that can become real discussion points.
Oof.
Is there a late 70s option? Oh well.
They all can't be Hollywood from the Mannequin movie. Yeah. But yes, thank you for coming along and chatting with us. It's been great having you. And hopefully I can get a more stable computer network next time I'm online. Which, it nearly got there. But yeah. So in that case, I'm going to say it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from them. Catch you later. And our honoured guest.
Thanks. Okay. Let's end this.
All right.